Welcome to South Florida saltwater fishing. I'm Heath, and it's time to get into the bite.
Dolphin in the boat!
Woo! Double-headed solo kingfish trip right there.
That's a beast
do this.
there.
Let's do this.
That's mutton snapper
Let's
right
do
there,
this.
baby.
Let's do this. Let's do this. Let's do this. Let's do this. Let's do this.
This is a white bucktail jig. You ever heard stories from fishermen about how great this lure is and how versatile it is? Well, it's true. And in this video, I'm going to show you why. I'm also going to show you how to rig it up and put it to use. And we're going to start right now. Before we get into this though, if you want to learn more about fishing, grow as an angler, or just see some great and exciting offshore fishing adventures, you can start by hitting that subscribe button. And don't forget, turn on the notification bell so that you don't miss a thing. The white bucktail jig. This particular one is from the company SPRO. They make many different colors, many different weights, many different sizes, and they do all sorts of different things. I prefer this particular one, which is the white bucktail. Everything in the ocean eats a white jig. You will hear this throughout your years as an angler. As you grow, you will find out that it's true. SPRO Jig is the company I prefer. They come in different sizes. The ones that I prefer happen to be a 1 ounce or a 1/2 ounce, and they're very versatile. You can do many different things with them. You can pitch them out sight fishing and speed jig them in. You can troll with them. You can bottom fish with them and sort of jig it on the way up, or let it just bump along the bottom and go for the fish that stay around the structure. The white bucktail jig is one of the most versatile and widely used lures throughout fishing. You can ask any fisherman if they had one lure and one lure only, what would they choose? I can almost guarantee you 8 out of 10 will say, I choose a white bucktail jig. I've been asked why I favor the white bucktail from SPRO. Well, the answer is not only is it a very versatile lure, but I prefer this particular manufacturer. There is something about the balance of this lure that I prefer. How it sort of fishes. It looks natural, like a fish. The attention to detail that is paid by the company and the makers, from the white feathers and there's little glowing sort of iridescent feathers mixed in there. There is paint on top that will glow in the dark if you want to drop it down deep. The eyes with the little crystals in it. The sturdiness of it. It's a durable lure. It takes a lot. These lures can take a beating and keep coming back for more. Now, they don't last forever. They do get chewed up and you have to switch them out. You can repair them, but it's almost more cost efficient to just go on ahead and buy a new one at that point. This is one of my go-to lures. I have 2 rods dedicated at all times with these lures tied on. If the action blows up, I can see it on the water at any given moment. I can stop right then and there, grab one of my setups and pitch it to them top water style and jig it in, and pretty much guarantee a hookup. It happens a lot when tuna or dolphin are thick and feeding, and this lure drives them crazy. So what I'm going to show you is right behind me is my setup of rods that I grab before I go fishing offshore in the morning. I'm loading up the boat. These 2 rods right here happen to be my dedicated rods, and as you can see, here we go. 2 white bucktail jigs from SPRO. Both of these are the 1/2 ounce ones, which are the ones that I tend to favor more. If you're going to be into this lure, my suggestion is have one on a rod dedicated at all times. It won't fail you. This lure catches a multitude of fish. It catches everything, as the old saying goes. It catches bonito.
I got him. Magic white bucktail from SPRO Jig.
It catches tuna.
There we go. On the SPRO Jig, skipjack.
It catches dolphin.
Oh God.
Right there, SPRO Jig, bull dolphin.
It catches kingfish.
There he goes.
That is insane. Double-headed solo kingfish trip right there.
I have even caught mutton snapper on it, trolling.
No way. I just caught a mutton snapper trolling a SPRO Jig.
Other things that eat this that I've hooked or caught are sailfish, barracuda, yellowtail snapper, cirro mackerel, Spanish mackerel. The list goes on and on. It's a great lure. Learning to use it and having it at your side will only up your angling production and your hookup ratio. But let me stress, it's not magic. It's not going to happen where you just toss it out and fish are going crazy for it. Know your local fishery. Learn a little bit about it. Learn how to use it. Know what you're targeting. You know, go with fish over structure, fish around structure. Fish don't just swim over the desert of sand in the ocean. You have to hunt them down. Once you find them, using this as a tool to get the hookup will only increase your odds. Making this lure an extension of your arsenal of ocean hunting gear is only in your best interest, because it is a weapon. It is like a bullet in a rifle. And this is my weapon of choice. It is a Penn Spinfisher 5500 on a Penn Battalion rod. This rod is 7 feet tall, has 10 guides. It is rated 12 to 20 pound mono. So what I have on this is I have Momoi Smoke Blue 12 pound monofilament. And attached to the end of that I have about 7 feet of 20 pound Seaguar Red Label Fluorocarbon. I use the Red Label from Seaguar. It tends to be a little bit more pliable and knottable and not be so rigid and stiff. But that is just my choice of fluorocarbon. There are many brands out there. Use your favorite. Remember, fluorocarbon can be costly, so you don't want to go wasting it. And then I have my white bucktail jig attached to the end of the leader. This setup like this is a true weapon once you learn how to use it. You are hunting the ocean. Unless you're out there doing it for sport, having a good old time with the family. Me, I'm out there trying to provide food. Therefore, I am hunting. And this is my weapon. Alright, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you how I rig this up. First thing I do is I tie a spider hitch. That's a loop made in your main line. Then I attach that to my 7 feet of fluorocarbon, which is Seaguar Red Label, 20 pound test. I attach that with a no-name knot. And then I attach my lure with a clinch knot. To tie your SPRO Jig onto your line, this is what you're going to need. You're going to need, obviously, you're going to need your white bucktail jig. This one is 1/2 ounce. You're going to need your 6 to 7 feet of 20 pound fluorocarbon leader. Good tip on how to measure that out, which is not an exact science. The tip is if you're between 5 and 6 feet, all you need to do is pull your line out from your spool to the length of your arm span. You'll be right there. Maybe pull out a little bit extra, and you'll be fine. You'll need
a cutting tool, and you're going to need your main line, which is attached to your reel. The first thing we're going to do on our main line attached to our fishing reel is we're going to tie a loop called a spider hitch. To do this, I take about 12 to 16 inches and I form a loop. This is the loop end. This will be the tag end. I'm going to pinch my line and leave about 3 inches of tag over here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take that and I'm going to form a loop. So I have the big end of the loop, and then I have this loop that I just formed. Now I'm going to take the free end of the loop and I'm going to wrap it around my index finger and this initial loop 3 times. 1, 2, 3. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the free end of this loop here and I'm going to send it back into that loop that I just made and pinched together. Then I will grab that and I will slowly pull it out, thus forming the knot called the spider hitch. Pull it slowly, pull on both ends, pull your main line against the loop, then you'll pull your tag end against the loop, and there you have it. That is a spider hitch loop, also known as the poor man's bimini twist. This knot, when it's done, your tag should lay flat against your main line. It should not be a perpendicular knot. If it's perpendicular, it is tied wrong and you need to start over. So now that we're at this point, we are going to clip off our tag. Okay, so that's how to tie a spider hitch. Now the next step is to attach your fluorocarbon leader to the loop of the spider hitch. Now, you're going to need to find the center of it, which means you're going to have to apply pressure on it. So once you put it on your reel, make sure that you have pressure on it. This is a pressurized knot. At home you could put it in your stand-up rod holder if you have one. You could set it down somewhere and put it in on the boat. You could set it in a rod holder. You need a little pressure, and I'm going to show you why right now, how to find the center of the loop and why you need the pressure. Alright, so we've got pressure on our reel, which is in our rod holder. How we are going to attach our fluorocarbon leader to our spider hitch loop. The way you find the center of the loop is you will take the tag end of your fluorocarbon and you're going to put it through your loop and you are going to just pull on it. So when you're pulling on it, this point right here is the center of your loop. Now what we're going to do is we are going to take about 4 to 5 inches of tag on your fluorocarbon leader. We're going to pinch right at the center of that loop. Now we're going to tie a no-name knot, which is essentially a reverse clinch knot. You're going to go, instead of tying it against itself, doing loops around it and sending the line back through, the line creeps up against the main line. So we're going to pull 7 twists against the main line. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Then we are going to send a tag back through this little loop that's been created right here on our hand, where fingers are pinching the center of the loop. And then we are going to cinch down on it as if we were tying a clinch knot. That is a no-name knot right there. This is a perpendicular finished knot, which you can see. If your tag is not hanging perpendicular off the knot, you've tied it wrong. You need to start over. Now you'll want to take your cutting tool and trim it off. This is a very streamlined knot, and it's very good. It goes through your guides nice and smooth if you want to cast out. So again, we've got our spider hitch knot, which is a loop. Let me open up the line and show you the loop. So we've got the spider hitch, which is a loop attached to the no-name knot. And then we've got our 7 feet of fluorocarbon leader. Now we're going to attach the lure, which is our 1/2 ounce white bucktail jig. We're going to attach that with a clinch knot. So we're going to put our leader through the eye of the lure right here. And again, I have videos on all these knots, or you can just replay and watch them here. And then we're going to do a basic clinch knot. Now fluorocarbon can be abrasive, so I'm not going to do 7 wraps. I'm only going to go with 6 on this. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And then we're going to send our tag end back through that little pinched loop. Alright. Grab your lure by the head and cinch down on it. Remember, a clinch knot is a 90-degree perpendicular finished knot. If you don't have that nice perfect finish, retie it. You don't want lure failure. You'll lose your lure, you'll lose your fish. Not a good day. Alright, so that is how you tie that lure.
That's the basic setup of the knot. I got 12-pound monofilament hooked to 20-pound fluorocarbon leader, hooked to my lure. The knots are a spider hitch, hooked to a no-name knot, hooked to a clinch knot, which is attached to the lure. Now it's time to show you how to put this thing to use. Now that we know a little bit about the lure and its versatility, what I'm going to do is I'm going to explain to you the few different ways that I like to fish this lure. The first way I'm going to go over, which is particularly my favorite, which is why I have reels dedicated for it, is what I consider to be top water fishing, sight fishing with it. What you do is you're zooming along, maybe you're running and gunning, maybe you're trolling, maybe you're just cruising for a place to look and fish. All of a sudden you see fish blowing up on top, or maybe you see out in the distance some birds. You're going to run to it. You're going to grab your reel. You're going to take it and you're going to pitch it out. And what you're going to do is you are going to jig it in as you reel in. You will pitch it out, and as you're reeling it in, you're turning your handle and you're jigging at the same time. It's a rhythm. You're going to have to get used to this. It's nothing that comes natural, turning the handle and jigging. It's almost like patting your belly and rubbing your head at the same time. But you will get used to it with practice. Doing this creates a jigging motion within the lure as it is being dragged across the top of the water. And what this does is this kicks in that impulse for fish to feed. They see the bait zooming by, and the thought process is to feed, because the opportunity might not come up again. So what I want to do is show you an example of how this works. Pitching it out, starting to jig it in, and you get the hook up, and then you have the time of your life. So as you're dragging your bait across the top and you're jigging it horizontally, almost speed jigging, it gives a motion like this, which is what you want. Just dragging it straight across like that might not entice the impulse for the fish to feed, but something that jigs, that's doing like this,
you're imitating prey. You're imitating possibly a hurt piece of prey that will enact the impulse to feed. The next way of fishing for it that I want to talk about is bottom fishing. But it's not really bottom fishing in the sense of you're just gonna drop it down to the bottom and wait for something to bite it. No. Fishing with a jig is active fishing. It's never set it and forget it. It just won't happen unless there is some really hungry fish that wants to go and eat a hunk of lead with feathers on it dropped to the bottom of the ocean laying in the sand or on the coral. I highly doubt that'll happen. So, to bottom fish with it, what you would want to do is you will drop your line out. And what you're going to do is once you feel it hit the bottom, you'll close your bail and you're going to jig it up about 10 to 15 feet. And then you'll open your bail and let it back down. Close your bail, jig it up about 10 to 15 feet as you're reeling it up. Again, this is a rhythm. Learning to jig is something you have to learn to get into. It can be cumbersome at first, but once you get the hang of it, the lure becomes an extension of your body and your arms. You learn what you are doing with each motion, what you're making that lure do. What will happen as you're bottom fishing is you drop it to the bottom and you start jigging it up. Again, hits the bottom, jig it up. Bottom, jig it up. You can also, as an alternative, let it down to the bottom and just sort of pull your rod. You will not even reel. You'll set your bail and you'll just pull. You're going with the current. Pull, let it hit the bottom. Pull, let it hit the bottom. Pull, let it hit the bottom. This is also a form of jigging. When you would do that, you pull, let it hit the bottom. Pull, let it hit the bottom. Pull, let it hit the bottom. This will entice the impulse to feed. This is what you are trying to do. You are trying to make this lure look like an injured piece of prey. This thing is on the dinner menu as soon as you tie it on your line and drop it out. Then the last method I want to talk about fishing this particular lure, which is also another great way to do it, I love doing it, is trolling it. Now most people may look at you a little funny and go, really, you troll a white bucktail jig? Oh, I do, and I catch a lot with it. Same setup, I don't change anything. It's my snapper spinner, 12-pound test, 20-pound fluorocarbon leader, 7 feet of it. I let it out about, 100, 200 feet. I'll set both of them out at the same time, see what happens. I'm going to be trolling at between 6 and 8 knots, as if I'm doing standard top water trolling. Remember, check that GPS speed, watch what your conditions are doing. Are you going with the current, against the current, are the waves pushing you? It's trolling. It's not set it and forget it time, go get a drink, go get a sandwich, oh my reels are doing great, I'm just hee-hawing around. No, you're trolling, you're actively fishing, you're hunting. Make sure you are in the know when it comes to doing this. The SPRO jigs are very active. They get lots of hits, a lot. You go up and down the reef. You zigzag in and out. You can troll in 50 feet of water and catch all sorts of reef fish. You can troll the 90 to 120 area and catch kingfish. You can troll a little bit deeper out to 200 and go for the bonita and the tuna. You can go way out to, halfway to the Bahamas from Florida, and you can get the hookup with the dolphin. I've hooked a multitude of fish with this. It's a great day also when you're trolling in on the reef and a sailfish grabs one of these and it's tearing up your little snapper spinner. Trust me, it's happened. So I want to show you an example of how you control this.
Alright, we're back at it. We got the SPRO jigs out. Fish are chasing it down. We're getting little nibbles here and there, so we're going to see what happens. we go, there we go. He's smoking it. Let him run, let him run, let him run. One in the boat, tuna in the boat. Wicked tuna. Here we go, yeah. Blackfin.
One of the last and most important attributes of this lure is the fact that it seems to be able to break the rules of fishing as we know it. Watercolor, water clarity, water depth, weather condition, all these factors seem to not play a part in dictating when and where you can fish this lure. It seems to break those rules and get the hookup no matter when and where you are. Alright everybody, that about does it for this episode. Hope you enjoyed. Hope you learned a little bit about the most versatile, widely used fishing lure throughout the history of fishing. The white bucktail jig. Till next time, South Florida saltwater fishing, going wherever the cool wind takes us.